This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from January 12th to January 14th of 2024. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday, this idiot right here updates you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. And before we start, I want to say that Cowell is heading to Liga MX, and the fact that out of all the teams in that league, he ended up in Chivas, Guadalajara's roster, I must say that it is freaking hilarious. Sure, he is eligible to play for them. For those who do not know, they only accept Mexican players that have, been born in Mexico or have a Mexican heritage, essentially a Mexican passport. And I'm not questioning his eligibility because he does in fact have a Mexican passport, but he will be playing for Chivas, a very proud Mexican team, and for the US men's national team at the same time, which is funny as I do also know that a Peruvian national team player played for Chivas Guadalajara while also playing for Peru, but the US men's national team are Mexico's rivals, and that's what makes it freaking hilarious. I also know that Cowell won't be actually playing for the United States' A team, but he will likely be in Camp Cupcakes, B rosters, and honestly, probably in the Olympics as well. With that said, this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, but more on that later. We don't got time for that right now. So let's begin. As always, we start the top 5 leagues in Europe, the first one being the English Premier League. But a few of the Americans, or at least their clubs, did not play in the Premier League this weekend. So if the clubs didn't play, the players didn't play. And they are Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. They didn't play this weekend, so Matt Turner didn't play. Austin Trusty from Sheffield United. Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. However, Fulham did play, which means A-Rob played. And maybe Tim Ream. And on Saturday, A-Rob started and played the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 1-0 loss to Chelsea. They lost to Chelsea. It's 2024. No one loses to Chelsea in 2024. But back to the Americans, A-Rob once again had a fine game. He looked good defensively and was able to whip in some good low crosses. One of them almost became an assist. He has been having a fantastic season for Fulham in the English Premier League. And as for Tim Ream, he was back from injury during the midweek for Fulham. He has yet to get any minutes ever since he returned, but he has made the bench twice, which means he's fully fit. Then obviously the other two Americans that play in the Premier League are Tyler Adams and Luca Coleocho. They're still injured and they probably won't be back before March. Now let's head to Italy and talk about the Americans that play in the Serie A. The first two being Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa from Milan. On Sunday, Pulisic started and played 79 minutes for Milan during their 3-1 win over Roma. As for Yunus Musa, he started off the bench and was subbed in the 78th minute for Milan in this match. Look, listen, this was a great win for AC Milan, and both Americans were very good. Again. Christian Pulisic continues to look sharp. He was taking on defenders. His dribbling has been quite good lately, actually quite good the entire season. Once again, as always, I keep repeating this every single week. For this match, he even had a very nice nutmeg. And y'all should know, Tactical Manager loves nutmegs. Don't clip that. Don't do it. But not just that, he looked dangerous in multiple occasions and probably deserved a goal, even though he didn't get one for this specific match. He also showed us he's got hops. He almost scored off a header where he really took off the ground to hit it. It looked like he was a NASA rocket ready to launch. Lucky for us, he stayed on planet Earth because that's where we need him. That's where America needs him. Now, Yunus Musa started off the bench and was subbed in for Rafael Leão at the 78th minute to help Milan hold a 2-1 lead. So he was on for a little over 10 minutes and he also looked good in my personal opinion. Musa almost scored a golazo. He dribbled through 3 defenders and then hit a shot off the post. It would have been one heck of a goal. One of the most beautiful goals of the season. And since the season hasn't just started, but since 2024 just started, probably the best goal of 2024 if it happened. And is it just me, or Yunus Musa has multiple moments throughout his career, his short career, where he had an almost scored a banger moment. This is not the first time this has happened. I think it's happened at least twice this season, and I kind of remember that happening for Valencia as well. Nevertheless, both Americans played very well, and I also want to add that Christian Pulisic won the Serie A Player of the Month award for the month of December. He was awarded that last week, where he had 2 goals and 2 assists in the month of December in the Serie A, and he was the best player of the month, becoming the very first American to get the award. And I've said this before, and I said it multiple times, Christian Pulisic is the best field player the US men's national team has ever had. Yes, even ahead of Clint Dempsey and Landon Donovan. Has he accomplished as much as those two for the national team? No, but he is a better player than they ever were. I'm going to make a video this week addressing that on who is the US men's national team GOAT. Maybe I won't pick Pulisic because it might be based off accomplishments. We'll go through that. But as I said multiple times, and I will die on this hill, Christian Pulisic so far is the best field player the United States men's national team has ever had. And just so you know, since I'm saying field players, I'm not including goalkeepers. Moving on, we have 2 more Americans in the Serie A that play for a very big club named Juventus, and they are Weston Mckennie and Tim Weah. And Juventus actually played on Thursday, but Mckennie was so unreal in this match that I had to include it. The last time I saw a performance this good was when Goku took down Frieza at Planet Namek, but he was a Super Saiyan when he did it. Mckennie, as far as we know, he's human. And on Thursday, Mckennie and Weah both started for Juventus during their 4-0 win over Frosinone in the Italian Cup quarterfinals. Weah played 71 minutes as a wingback, and Weston Mckennie played the full 90 minutes. Mckennie was so good. This dude was on a mission. It's like he was in an improv class with Michael Scott, and he was asked to do his best Andrea Pirlo impression, and he nailed it. Sure, some might say he probably should have scored a goal if you really want to nitpick, but he got 2 beautiful assists in this match that really helped Juventus advance to the semifinals. Both of the assists were fantastic. They were perfectly placed lobbed balls that maybe you can even call it a cross. Regardless, they were perfect deliveries that require a high level of technical ability and vision. He has also done this enough times this season that I'm fairly confident that I could say this, that he's just really good at it. It's not luck. That's what I'm trying to say. We've seen Weston do these lob passes or lob crosses, whatever you want to call it, because they're not really down the flanks. They're usually more down the middle and a bit deeper, so you could call it a lob pass. And he's done it enough times that we can probably affirm at this point that it's not luck. It simply isn't. Which brings me to a point I want to talk about. One aspect of Weston McKennie's game that I have been noticing more and more for Juventus and the US men's national team is his vision. This dude can pick a pass. Now, is he a playmaker? No, not really. More of a box-to-box midfielder. But if you give him time and space on the ball, he will punish you. He will find his teammates, and he will put them in positions to score and to succeed with unexpected through balls, lob passes, and crosses. What a comeback season it has been for Weston Mckennie. He's been truly fantastic all season long, and I would argue he might even be Juventus' best player this season in terms of performances. Top 3 at worst. Now, before we continue, a quick word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. But because I forgot to ask you earlier in the video, could you hit the like button while we run the ad? I'll be back in a minute. And thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring Tactical Manager TV. Underdog Fantasy is a fun game to play prior to any soccer match, or basketball, or football as well, but we don't talk about those two in Tactical Manager TV. Sometimes basketball during live watch-alongs. I have been playing Underdog Fantasy for over a year now. You can download the app by using the link on the description of this video, and you can also use the promo code TMTV. And Underdog will be matching your first deposit for up to $100. And in the process, you'll be helping the channel avoid bankruptcy. The game I mainly play is called Pick'em. You just click on it, scroll to the soccer section, and pick a player for a specific match and select the stats that you believe will be lower or higher. It's very easy to play, but be smart about your picks because it's not easy to win. I'll be playing some Underdog Fantasy during some match live streams or match live watch-alongs, so stay tuned for that, as I will be forced to cheer for a player or root against him. Now, I am a professional hater, so I'll probably be rooting for the player's downfall. Once again, don't forget to use the promo code TMTV and use the link on the description of this video. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring the channel. Oh, hey, we're back. Make sure to hit the like button if you haven't already during the ad, which I am 100% sure that you did. Now let's go to Germany and talk about the Americans that play in the Bundesliga. The first one being Giovanni Reyna from Borussia Dortmund. On Saturday, Gio Reyna started off the bench and was subbed in the 88th minute for Dortmund during their 3-0 win over Darmstadt. Remember when I said Gio starting for Dortmund in a friendly last week meant nothing? Well, there you have it. He literally got garbage minutes. He was subbed in the final 2 to 3 minutes of this match when they already had a 2-0 lead. And then you have a player like Jadon Sancho that's really good and just arrived, and he came off the bench even earlier this match than Gio Reyna. Now, props to Jadon Sancho because he also got an assist. And I'll say this, his arrival will and is impacting Gio's minutes that were already pretty freaking low, even though Sancho will likely play more out wide rather than central. But so far, there have been reports that Sevilla and Real Sociedad are interested in having Gio Reyna this winter on a loan, along with the fact that Gio Reyna got a new agent. So there might be some truth to these rumors. And I'll ask you this. Do you think these rumors are true? Do I think these rumors are true? And I'll say maybe, but at the same time, these are not unrealistic transfer rumors like the ones we saw like Santi Jimenez going to Real Madrid for 100 million euros. That is unrealistic. Gio Reyna going on loan to a struggling Sevilla in a very good Real Sociedad side, that's not unrealistic. Now, do I know a lot about these two teams? I don't know a lot. I have some knowledge of them, but not too much. If he does get a move, I'll do a deep dive into it. What I'm trying to say is I am not sure these are good moves because I don't know these teams well enough. But if he does get a loan, I mean, I'm assuming they'll play him. And at this point, all he needs is minutes, man. That's all we're asking for, and that's probably all Gio Reyna's asking for. I do also want to add that a loan makes sense. Terzic doesn't rate Gio, and he needs to get his career back on track. Either so Dortmund can have him renew the contract during the summer, and then he can finally actually play for them, or to up his market value for a full transfer during the summer. I'm not sure on Gio getting a move this winter, even though these rumors seem very realistic. But I believe he will get a move during the summer for sure in case the winter move does not happen or if the winter move is just a loan. But when it comes to predictions, I'm almost as bad as Shaquille O'Neal from the free throw line. So, you know, I'm probably going to be wrong. Don't really listen to what I'm saying. Or do. Sometimes I'm right. Next up, we have Brenden Aaronson from Union Berlin. On Saturday, Brenden Aaronson started and played 69 minutes. Nice. For Union Berlin during their 0-0 draw with Freiburg. I only half watched this game. I had it on and I was watching here and there. And every time I looked at it and I saw Brenden, he was kind of just meh, if that makes any sense. He wasn't awful. He wasn't great. He was just kind of there and running around a lot. And he's probably going to have to take a step back from the top 5 leagues next season, in my personal opinion. And after Brenden Aaronson, we have John Brooks from Hoffenheim. On Friday, Brooks stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Hoffenheim during their 3-0 loss to Bayern. The bad is that Brooks got benched. The bad news here actually is that John Brooks got benched. The good news, he has zero blame on any of the goals because he didn't play, just like me. Now after John Brooks, we have Joe Scally and Pefok from Borussia Mönchengladbach. And on Sunday, Scally started and played the full 90 minutes for Gladbach during their 3-1 win over Stuttgart. But the big story here is Pefok, because he came off the bench a couple minutes after Stuttgart had scored a goal and cut the lead that Gladbach had down to 2-1. The momentum was shifting. And then Pefok at the 90th minute put the nail in the coffin and helped Gladbach secure the 3 points by scoring and getting them the 3-1 victory. After that, we would have had Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg, but he wasn't available due to a hip injury. He'll be back in February. And then you have Paxton Aronson, but he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, so I got nothing to say there. Last but not least, in Germany, you have Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim. And on Saturday, Maloney started and played the full 90 minutes for Heidenheim during their 1-1 draw with Cologne. I still don't know how to pronounce that team's name. Is it Cologne? Cologne? I don't know. If you're German, let me know. I might be pronouncing it right because no one has criticized me for it so far. Or maybe just no one cares about this team. Now let's leave Germany and go to Spain and talk about the two Americans in La Liga. The first one being Luca de la Torre from Celta de Vigo. On Saturday, Luca de la Torre started off the bench and was subbed in the 80th minute for Celta de Vigo during their 1-1 draw with Mallorca. Now, you may be asking, has Luca de la Torre gotten benched at Celta de Vigo? Which the answer to that is so far, yes. Can he recover the starting job? Probably, but right now, yes, he has been benched for Celta de Vigo. He's been benched on the last two La Liga matches, and then he started for them in the Copa del Rey. The other American in La Liga is Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis. And I actually have good news and bad news here. And, you know, the bad news ain't really bad, to be honest. The bad news is Johnny Cardoso stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes this Saturday. Now, the good news is that Johnny Cardoso stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Real Betis this Saturday. Why is that good news? Because, well, he is registered, he's available, and he finally made the bench. He's probably going to get minutes soon. They're starting Guardado, so eventually Johnny will get minutes. The good news is he's finally officially available for Real Betis, and I would be surprised if he got no minutes in January. I would expect him actually to get minutes next weekend. The thing is, when he arrived in Spain, he was coming from vacation, so Johnny's still building up his fitness, but I'm pretty sure they'll play him very soon. Now let's go to France and talk about the Americans that play in Ligue 1. The first one, or actually there's going to be two of them, and the first one is Floating Balogun from Monaco. On Saturday, Balogun started off the bench and was subbed in at halftime during Monaco's 3-1 loss to Reims, the team that's spelled in R-E-I-M-S. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Balogun hit a shot on target, but the truth is he struggled. And I have defended him quite a bit this season, but I would be lying if I said he hasn't been poor for quite some time, which is probably why he got benched. Now you may be wondering, am I worried? Nah, he'll be fine. Floating Balogun has proved time in and time out that he is deadly in transition, which is why he was so good for Reims, the team he played last season, and the team that Monaco faced this week last season. He was really good for them because they played a lot in transition. He has really struggled when he plays with teams that are more possession-based, like the US men's national team and Monaco. When he's facing low blocks, I would say low blocks are probably his weakness, but I do think he'll be fine. He has the ability to overcome that struggle. It's more about him working on his off-the-ball movement against low blocks, understanding how to combine better in tight spaces, not coming too deep to receive the ball, and being a little bit more clinical in front of the goal. I know all of this may sound like a lot, but honestly, it's not. The only one I'm a bit concerned is with his finishing. Everything else, I think he'll figure out very soon, probably this season. Yes, I still rate Balogun very high, and I think he'll be just fine despite the past 2 to 3 months that he's been fairly poor. And this week, I want to talk about Emmanuel Sabi from Le Havre as well, because the dude scored. Again. On Sunday, Sabi started and played 70 minutes for Le Havre during their 3-1 win over Lyon. Look, he has actually surpassed my expectations for him this season, because I wasn't really expecting anything from him while playing in the French First Division. But he now has 3 goals scored in 490 minutes played for Le Havre in the French League. And many people are asking, should the US men's national team give him another shot? And honestly, I don't know. I need to watch him a few times before drawing my own conclusion, which I'll try to do so in the next 4 weeks, then I'll give you my take on it. I haven't watched him enough this season, and it would be a bit disingenuous for me to give an actual opinion on that. But he scored 3 goals so far, so I might as well give him a look and scout him the next 4 weeks and give you my opinion. And if you have been watching him, let me know your opinion in the comment section. Now we're done with the top 5 leagues, and hopefully you have already hit the like button to help the channel and, to rig the YouTube algorithm. Let's go to the Netherlands, to the Eredivisie, and talk about the Americans that played there. The first one being the PSV boys, Ricardo Pepi, Malik Tillman, and Serginho Destinho. On Saturday, Dest and Tillman both started for PSV during their 3-1 win over Excelsior in the Eredivisie. Dest went the distance by playing the full 90 minutes and getting a beautiful assist, where he got the ball down the left flank and whipped in a precise cross that ended up with Luuk de Jong scoring off a header. Malik Tillman played 76 minutes and Ricardo Pepi came off the bench around minute 76. And here's a question for you. Clearly, Serginho Dest is among the best fullbacks in the Eredivisie. He is making it look easy at times. So should he give a top 5 league a shot again this summer, or stay an extra season with PSV? then give it a shot again if he continues to be successful. I'd personally rather him stay one more season with PSV after this one, continue to be dominant, but understand his weaknesses and work on it to improve it. For me, it's mainly the decision making on the ball that isn't great, and defensively he has a few lapses at times that against tougher opponents, it very often gets him exposed. We saw that during his Milan days and Barcelona. A lot of this is mental, and as long as he can work on that and improve it, he should be fine and play for very good top 5 league teams. Otherwise, he might just be one of those players like Luuk de Jong that completely dominates the Eredivisie, but struggles when he moves to tougher leagues. I think Dest will eventually go back to a top 5 league, and I think he'll be just fine. Next up in the Eredivisie, we have Taylor Booth from Utrecht. And on Sunday, Taylor Booth stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Utrecht during their 0-0 draw with Vitesse. It's been a rough season for Utrecht, and it's been rougher for Taylor Booth. Now let's leave the Netherlands and go to England for the players that play in the English second division, the EFL Championship. The first one being Josh Sargent from Norwich. On Friday, Sargent started and played 61 minutes for Norwich during their 2-1 win over Hull City. And I don't know, man, Norwich is only 2 points away from a playoff spot to get promoted to the Premier League. I mean, the playoffs to win to get promoted to the Premier League, which is not a direct spot. And Josh Sargent's return might actually give them a boost. So who knows? I actually think this team can still fight for a promotion to the Premier League this season. Is it likely? Probably not, but they're not out. Next up, we have Haji Wright from Coventry. And on Saturday, Haji Wright was still not available for Coventry. As I reported last week, he has a muscle discomfort. Haji was not available to play last weekend in their FA Cup match and this weekend for the EFL Championship match. However, he is expected to return sooner rather than later. Last but not least in England, we have Daryl DK from West Brom. And on Saturday, DK started off the bench and was subbed in the 78th minute for West Brom during their 4-1 win over Blackburn. He's slowly returning from a torn Achilles, so expect the minutes to ramp up slowly. Scotland has not returned yet, so I have no reports on Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic, so we're going to skip on that. I want to go back to Italy for a second to talk about the Americans that play in the Italian second division, the Serie B, before we close this video talking about the Americans that play in Liga MX in Mexico. So let's go to Italy. And the players I want to talk about today are just Tenor Tessman and Gianluca Busio from Venezia. Because on Sunday, Tessman and Busio both started and played the full 90 minutes for Venezia during their 5-3 win over Sampdoria. And Gianluca Busio scored one of the goals for Venezia that currently sits in second place with 38 points. And they're currently on track to get promoted to the Serie A. Last but not least, we leave Europe and we go to Mexico for the Americans that play in Liga MX. The first one being Alejandro Zendejas from Club America. On Saturday, Alejandro Zendejas started off the bench and was subbed in the 68th minute for Club America during their 2-0 win over Club Tijuana in Liga MX. And Zendejas came to the rescue by getting an assist at the 89th minute to get America the 1-0 lead late in the game that eventually became a 2-0 lead. What was interesting about this game is that I was totally unaware of the fact that Efrain Alvarez is actually playing for Tijuana. And I don't know, man, once upon a time, this guy was a big prospect for Mexico and the United States, a big dual national battle. So I thought it was worth mentioning. And he was also coming off the bench for them. So I don't even know if he's doing well. He probably isn't doing well because I haven't heard of this guy in probably like a year, maybe 2. I do also want to add that Cade Cowell has joined Chivas Guadalajara. I think I kind of talked about that in the very first minute of the video. And then finally, we have an update on Brendan Vasquez. He joined Monterrey, and he wasn't available for them this weekend. He didn't even make the bench, but I'm assuming Brendan Vasquez will make a debut very soon in Liga MX. All right, everyone, I want to thank you all very much for watching this U.S. Men's National Team Abroad episode. Don't forget to drop a like before you go and share the video with any U.S. soccer fan that you think might enjoy it to help the channel grow. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.